Hello everyone and welcome. This is Linda and I'm so glad you could join me this morning. We're going to be making what I call a tearaway note cascade with a hidden embellished pocket. That's quite a title, isn't it? A tearaway note cascade with a hidden embellished pocket. It's a lot of fun to make. It's not hard to make, and it doesn't take a lot of supplies. And in fact, it can use up even leftover bits and pieces. So anyway, let's get into it. And this is what it will look like when it's finished and glued to your page. And what these are little notes, as you can see, but I have perforated them at each section so that when they're used, they can be torn away. But sometimes when we do something like that, if someone actually uses it as notes and tears them away, then what they end up with is not very pretty in their book, and that's not something that we would want in our book. So I thought, well, how can we eliminate that? How can we make sure that if someone wants to use these as notes and maybe tuck in other areas of their journal or whatever, then and they want to tear them away, that they end up with something that's not only usable but pretty. So first of all, you can see that on the back there's a top section that's pretty good sized, and then a perforated line right there. And so this would constitute this area here, the pocket, when we're done. And so that's why I have it shown on the page like this with a little pocket thing. Or this one here, the pocket would be, of course, here. But let me show you what happens as they use them and tear them away. Let's say the first small one was used and torn away. You see there's something of interest left there, a little color, a little graphics, a little writing, wording, whatever you decide to put there. But it still looks pretty. It's not just blank. And then if they use the second note, the same thing. We have something of interest, a little different. And so each time they tear this away, up to the first three, they get something to look at of interest. And then if they tear away the last note, what they're left with is that hidden embellished pocket. So that's kind of getting two things in one. You get the notepad, but if you want to use the notepad, you get the embellished pocket with it. And it's kind of hidden, so it's kind of fun to discover it. And like I said, this is easy, so let me walk you through how I do this, and maybe that will inspire you to make some of your own. Let's put these out of the way for right now. I start with a piece of printed digital paper of some kind, whatever I think would make a nice, writing area plus a decorative area. And so I start with that, and this printed out exactly 9 inches in length. It's on a regular sheet of paper. And what I do is I cut 3-inch strips to start with, okay? 3-inch strips. Now, that first note part, it will be approximately 2 inches. So I'm going to start with the top part here, and I'm going to cut 2 inches. What did I do with my ruler? There it is. and I like to use my big ruler, so let's do this first section is cut 2 inches. Okay, that's our first piece, and we'll cut off this extra. Then I'm going to have a piece that is approximately 3 inches. I won't say approximately, it is 3 inches for me. Let's get that lined up. Okay, so we have a 2 inch and we have a 5 inch. Now we need a 2 inch and a 3 inch. Now we need a 5 inch piece. Let's cut the top of this. So we have, again, and we need 5 inches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, cut on this line. We have a 2 inch cut, 3 inch cut, and a 5 inch cut. And now we'll cut the borders off of this one. And now we want a 7 inch cut. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It is exactly 7. I forgot I cut 2 inches off of this, so that left a 7 inch piece. So when that one sheet of paper, we cut three 3 inch strips, and then we cut those 3 inch strips into a 2 by 3, a 3 by 3, a 3 by 5, and a 3 by 7. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to stack all these up, putting the bottom parts at the bottom. Get them all lined up nice and straight. Now, if you've got a corner rounded punch, just use it if you like. I don't, I just cut them myself. But we just want to round off the bottoms for a little more finished look. Okay, so all the bottoms now have a finished look to them. And let me show you what I've done on this one. Okay, here's the 2 inch cut, 3 inch cut, 5 inch cut, 7 inch cut, all with rounded bottoms, and these are inked already. Then what I did was I came in and with what is about a 3/4 down on this 2 inches, I perforated. Now, you can use a little handheld perforation wheel. If you've ever sewn and you have that tracing wheel that perforates and leaves the tracing mark through the tracing paper, that'll work. I did it on my sewing machine. I just take the thread out of my needle and just use my needle and run it through and perforate it. So that first one is about 3/4 inches down. Okay. What I did was I looked at it and I sideways and I tried to determine where do I need to perforate this in order for something to show when it's torn off. And so that's why I came up with the 3/4 inch. So that's where I did that, okay? So now this one you can see that I came down not 3/4 of an inch, but a little more than an inch on this next piece. And I put my perforation line so that I would have something that came through on the next piece, okay? And then I came down a good inch for sure, further, and perforated that one so that I would have something to show on the next one. So this is not something that you have to do in exactly those increments. When you get your pieces, the sizing that you want to do, and you figure out, okay, where am I going to perforate this first piece? You do it, turn it up, and decide on your second piece how much you want to show, then perforate along that line. Turn that up, decide what you want to show, then perforate right under it. Turn that up, decide what you want to show, and perforate right under it. That way, when everything is perforated, and if it's used and torn away, then they will have all these different elements on there to look at. Okay? All right. Now, what you have to do in order to get that decorative element is put something on those. All right. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to just take this to the machine and do the perforation, and then I will be back. Okay. Okay, we've got the perforations done. I think you can see these perforation marks that the machine makes. And so that's kind of what you want. And like I said, none of this has to be exact. You can just eyeball it as you do it. The key is to turn back to see how much it's going to be showing, and that's where you want to make your perforations. Now, remember that this very first piece, since it will be laying on top and you're going to put some kind of a decorative element over the top, you don't have to worry about embellishing this area. But on the second piece is where you want to start the embellishment, and lay the first 2 inch on the 3 inch and turn it over and see you've got this little strip here that's going to show. Now, it's not very wide, and I don't want to put a whole lot of effort into that if it's not going to show. So I think what I'm going to do on that one is just use a little washi tape, and on that first one, and just lay it on there just right above the perforation. Don't cover the perforation in case the person wants to use these notes. You want them to be able to tear them off. So just put your washi tape on there, and that will be your first embellishment line. And you can test that out and put that one back and turn it over. And if it were perforated, the first one was torn off, that would be what would show. Okay? All right. Now for my third one, again, I'm going to test it with the one that sits on top of it and see how much I need. So if I turn it over and this was torn off and this was still on there, then this is what would show. And if this was torn off, then this would still be there. So these decorative elements would start layering up on each other as they tear off the note cards, like that. Okay. So this one, I don't have to embellish because I already have something there that was already on the paper. So that works good. Okay. Now the last one is a larger area, and so we use the one above it to see how much we need to decorate. And as you see, we have just about that much that's going to show if they tear these off and use them. Now there is a little decoration on there, but it's not all that colorful. So I think I'll put something else on there. Let me see what I have here. I have this little piece of paper here that I think would work really great. Let me just cut a strip out of it, and we can use it to decorate with. Now for me, I am staying kind of in the same color tones. This is kind of pink and purples. Okay, now since all of this top won't show, because remember this part is going to be over that, it's just going to be here. So all I really have to do is decorate the bottom part. So I think that's what I will do. And I will go ahead and glue that on there. Okay. Again, right above the perforation mark, just right above it. And then trim that off. Okay, so there's our bottom sheet. That's the 3x7. Here's the next sheet. That's the 3x5. Here's the next sheet. That's the 3x3. And the top one is the 3x2. Okay, let's ink these up a little bit. I'm going to start with some rose color here on my edges. And just ink these around, and really just only have to do the note area at this point. Put a little of that pink in there, and then come in with some little lip browns. And I just use my little mini pads themselves. I don't use daubers most of the time unless I'm trying to get a really smooth look, which not on my edges. I don't do that. Just like to mix some of this brown that just emphasized, but the pink is there, which gives the color play that I wanted. Okay. Okay. Let's layer those back up. Now we can see that we have our color there. The next thing that I will do is I will take this to the machine and I will sew this together. And then when I do, I'll probably lay this trim on it, little piece of torn fabric here, little piece of gauzy fabric, and I will just sew through that, and that will secure the Cascade, as well as give it a decorative top, okay, and hold all those pieces together. All right, and now if you're going to do this with just paper and not fabric, then just simply staple. Put a couple of staples in the top, and then do some washi tape or other decorative elements that you might want to do. Remember to stay above your perforation so that it can actually be used. And again, if we were to turn up these edges each time, we would have a decorative element to look at. Okay, if we were to do it, get this all together here. If the pieces were actually used, well, I have to do them one at a time, do it that way. That is the this is what you would have right here, and of course your top piece would be there, and it would have the embellishment on it. It would still be there, the one that you embellished at the top, so it would cap off the top. But if this one were used, this would be the layers that would be exposed with the decoration on the top piece. So I just love this idea because it's fun to make. It's a little bit of a surprise element, and it's functional and yet pretty. And so it takes just scraps of stuff, one sheet of paper of your choice. I like the decorations are fine. There's still plenty of writing area on each of those note areas. This one, you notice I used all plain area except for the stain quality of it. And so I think that I'm going to be making quite a few of these because I think they're going to be a perfect addition to a book. You can put it to the left as what I would do because I want to use the pocket when I'm through. But on the left side of a page, that would look very good. And you can, again, there will be a pocket area left. All right. Now when you glue it in, of course, you want to remember that this is a pocket area you want to leave. So you will put your glue along the top, the side, and the bottom, but you will leave this part open so that it will be a pocket. Remember, top, side, and bottom, like you would do any pocket. Then when you glue just that top part on, if you want, you can go ahead and use it as a pocket. Or you, because for one thing, people won't realize it is a pocket if they use and tear off these things. So that probably that's how I would do it in my book. I'd put it in there and put that in the pocket. But if they actually use it, then they're going to end up with that little surprise pocket when they get through. Okay, and I like putting a little saying on the bottom part because that's where they end up, and I think that's cute like that. This one has live your dreams at the bottom. So I hope you enjoyed that, and you'll try one of your own, and I hope I haven't confused you. And let me go over just a couple of things that I've done size-wise, but remember all this is adaptable to whatever size you want to work with. I'm working with a 6x9 journal. Yours may not be that big, or it may be bigger. So I start out with 3-inch wide strips. I cut 3 out of a printed piece of let's see if I can find one here. Here's a sheet, and if I were to cut 3 times 3 inches, that would take up that 9 inches and give me those 3 cuts that I need on one piece of paper. Then I cut a 2-inch piece, which ends up being 2x3. Then I cut a 3-inch, so it ends up being 3x3. Then I cut a 5-inch, which ends up being 3x5. And then I cut a 7-inch, which ends up being 3x7. If you can work it out to where your first piece and your last piece are cut off the same strip, then that works out perfectly, because that 2 inches and 7 inches is 9 inches. And then you still got 2 strips to use to cut your other pieces, however you want to. Sometimes you have to kind of fussy cut if you want to leave certain decorative elements, if you printed decorative papers. Okay, so I think that's all you will need to do that. And remember that you can get a perforation tool, one of those little perforation wheels. There are other kinds there are perforation machines, but if you don't have any of that, you can simply put it on top of a little padded surface, put your ruler there, and use a straight pin and go down that ruler and just perforate yourself. Doesn't take that long, because it's not that big of a deal. It's just 3 inches across, so you can make those perforation punches yourself if you have to. So okay, that's it for this time. And remember that this is a tearaway note Cascade with a hidden embellished pocket. Thank you so much for being with me. Bye-bye. Well, oops, I closed out that video before I was ready, actually, so come back, please, and I'll say goodbye a little later. I wanted to let you know that Marcia and Marcia's over at Markets of Sunshine, that's her channel. We're going to be doing a collaboration together, trying to come up with unique and unusual ways to make the things that you're used to putting into your junk journals, and giving a little bit different twist on them. We'll be giving tips and on different things and ways we do things, and also coming up with new projects for you to make. So we'll be doing these together, and so we'll be linking to each other's videos in the descriptions of our videos. This will make it really easy for you if you like something and you like to get new ways to do things, and you like little tips, and you like maybe a new project that you haven't tried before. I really encourage you to keep track of this ongoing series that she and I are both doing this year. We'll be doing this for the whole year, and so we'll see how many videos we stack up for the year on these different projects. This one will be one of those projects, and I will be trying to dream up new things and interesting things. And you know, we've been doing junk journaling now for several years, and it's hard to always come up with something new and different. And it's not that we really have to be totally original or new or different. If we can put a little spin on it, put a little twist to it, add a little something that we're not used to doing, or maybe we work in a medium that we haven't worked in before, doing the same embellishment or project, but doing it with different mediums. Whatever it takes to keep it fresh and enjoyable for us is what we want to do, and we want to help you do that through this series that we're going to be collaborating on. So please check out Marcia's channel. Please subscribe to her and my channel, and follow us along as we do this year on this journey of tips and projects for 2022. Bye-bye.